everybody, it's Angie with Too Cool Stamping, and today I wanted to share a video with you to show you several different ways that you can use the silicone craft sheet. This is an awesome piece of equipment to have in your stamping room. I know you're going to love it, and you may find some different uses that you didn't even know about before. There's lots of different ways that you can use this piece of silicone to help you do a lot of different projects. I'm going to go over several different ways that you can help create projects just like these with just a few simple tips on how to use this awesome tool. Okay, let's start out with my favorite thing that I just learned recently, and it has really changed the way that I work with intricate dies like this one in the Up and Away framelits right here. Anything that's intricate like this, it's really hard to adhere to something without the glue seeping through. We do have the fine tip glue pen, and that does help, but even that sometimes gets a little too thick underneath, and it can seep out between the little cracks of your piece, of your die cut piece. So recently I learned a really cool trick on how to get that all adhered really nicely, and I wanted to show you that because that is my favorite way to use this silicone sheet right now. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the Tombow glue, and I just put a little bit right here on the mat, and then I'm going to use a sponge and just kind of dab around to pick up just a little bit of glue. A little bit goes a long way. And then put your back side of the die cut up and just tap over the whole die cut. And that's just going to put just enough glue on there to make that die cut tacky. And you're not going to have all the glue seeping out from under the edges. And the nice thing is you're going to have all of that glue on the silicone mat. It's going to clean up really easily. So when you use that hot air balloon die, you can flip it over, and then all the die cut colored pieces, you can attach those really easily. Another piece that I did recently was this beautiful Sunshine Wishes die cut. And again, you don't need to have a lot of glue. I can just use a little bit that I have left here and put it over the top. And that's all going to be ready to stick on my beautiful card. So you can see how that is just going to go on really easily, and it just makes it kind of like almost like a sticky note. Just a little bit of glue goes a long way. So I love that tip. It makes it so easy to adhere die cuts to your projects. So, and the really awesome part is now to clean this up, all you have to do is, I like to just rinse it under water, or you could just take a wet rag, or you can take some of your Stampin' Mist and just put a little bit of that right on your sheet, and a rag, and that's just going to wipe right up. Or like I said, you can just put that right under your tap in your sink, and it'll clean right up, ready to go for the next project. Now, something else you can do that is kind of similar. We just had the Make a Medallion set, which is no longer available, but I loved how I used the lace doilies underneath that medallion. And one thing that I noticed when I was adhering that was that it's a lot of little tiny intricate work there, and you don't want to use a lot of glue. You could do it the same way with that sponge, but in this case it kind of overhangs a little bit of that circle that I want to put behind it. So I just want to put a little bit of snail adhesive right over the top, and then peel that up. And you could put that right on the top of your piece, just showing that you can, if you have something that you want to use snail on, it works as a great mat, and all you do is you can roll it up with your finger to get it off, or again, use just a rag and maybe some Stampin' Mist or just a wet rag and roll that adhesive right off of there, and it's ready to go for the next sheet. But this is a fun way that you could make a little layer there on your Make a Medallion or something similar, that you're not going to get all of that adhesive on your work surface. So that's another way that you can do it. Now, one of the more typical ways to use a sheet like this is to use your hot glue gun. And I wanted to share with you, this is with the punch that we use to make the poinsettia. And it's so easy to do. Let me get my little glue gun here. And all you want to do is just put a little dab of the hot glue right in there. And I have all my punched pieces here. And while that's wet, while it's hot, you can just start sticking your pieces in. And building that flower. Put a little bit more on there. And so you see how you can build that. Let's just let that set for a minute. But the fun part is you can just continue to build all of your layers of your flower with your leaves and everything with the hot glue right on the mat. And then once it gets dry, that's just gonna pop right up and it's totally clean. I love that. And now you can just use some dimensionals or even some glue dots or more hot glue to stick it right on your project. It works really well that way. Another trick that you can do is to use the silicone mat to help you position something like this as you're building it. So it's a translucent piece, which is awesome because you can put that right over your project. And let's say you can kind of see where the sentiment is. Hopefully you can see that. You can see where the sentiment is here. And as you're building that flower up, you want to make sure that you're not going to cover that sentiment up. And so you can make sure you put a leaf over this way and a leaf over that way. You can actually build your flower or whatever piece you're building right over the top of your project so that you know exactly how to position that. So that is kind of a fun thing too. And let's see, what else can we do with it? Let's try using, well, first of all, let me show you this because I'm not going to do the embossing for you, but the heat embossing that we do with embossing powders and Versamark and a heat tool, you can do all of that right on the silicone mat as well. It's heat resistant, obviously, and so that would allow you to use the heat tool right on there. So anything like this that you can heat up, you can use that right on your mat as well. So let's go on and talk about some ways you can use ink, because adhesive is really great because it comes off very easily, but so does ink. So it creates a really fun work surface. And so this is a flower that I have from the succulent, oh so succulent sweet. And I'm just going to take a little bit of rich razzleberry, and when you want to ink up the edges of something, it makes a great surface for that. So you start off of the edge of your paper and just kind of work toward the edge. And the thing I really love about it, and you have to actually be doing it to feel it, but this is such a nice smooth surface that it really has a nice flow as you work all of that color around your flower. So then we have some ink left there, but that keeps your work surface nice and clean. It gives you an area to collect all that ink so you're not going off onto your work surface. And you have some beautiful sponging on the sides. And that's what we use to create this beautiful box, my oh so succulent gift box. And all of these projects are on my blog, so you can figure out how to use them. I'll put links to all of those projects below so you can see how to make each of those. Some of the products, like on the poinsettia card, are retired, but most of these are newer projects. So that's how you would do a lot of that beautiful sponging on the side without getting your fingers all inked up. And then you're gonna just clean it up again with a little bit of the Stampin' Mist. Just spray that on, or just a wet rag, and clean that surface right up. You're ready to go for your next project. Now the last little tip that I wanted to show you today is that you can use this as a palette when you're doing coloring with your aqua painter. A lot of times you want to do coloring maybe with a blender pen, and you squeeze your ink pad and you get the ink on the lid, and you can use that as a palette. And that's really great when you're using the blender tool. But when you are using an aqua painter, sometimes you don't want to get all that water inside your lid, because then it's going to seep onto your ink pad. It's going to be, you know, kind of running around in there, and it gets kind of messy. So you don't want to have all that going on in the lid of your ink pad. So instead, I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet, and I'm just going to put a little bit of ink on the side there, and then that's going to become my palette. Let me put another color here. That was Island Indigo, and a little bit of the Old Olive. See, look how yucky that looks. We don't want all of that mess. That's when I've used an aqua painter in there, and it just gets all not good at all. Okay, so I have a piece of watercolor paper here and my aqua painter, and I'm just gonna grab some of that. And you can put a lot of water on here where you couldn't do that in the lid of your ink pad. And then transfer that onto your watercolor paper. The other nice thing about it is, in the lid of your ink pad, you're not going to want to mix colors at all. And when I'm doing this, I can go straight from the green right into the blue, and I don't have to worry about making sure that the blue isn't going to contaminate my ink pad. So you see how easy it is to get that nice blended color, and then you can just, again, wipe this clean. You might want to run this under water. It'd be the easiest way to do it without getting your rag all dirty, but you can see how easy it is just to clean up that surface, and you're ready to go for the next one. So when you're using a technique like that, you could do it for a background just like this one that I did with my Dragonfly Dreams. I have hot glue that has strung all over my cards. But anyway, this is the Dragonfly Dreams card that I did. I actually used the watercolor pencils to create this background, which is also a beautiful way to do it. But if you'd like to use this as a palette, that works really well too. Okay, everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed all the fun tips that I had for the silicone craft mat. And the great part about it is, for the month of April of 2017, I am going to be giving anyone who has a qualifying order at my online store a free silicone craft mat. So all you have to do is place a minimum $50 order at my online store, which is www.toocool.stampinup.net, and you need to use the hostess code that I've supplied right underneath this video. Make sure you use that hostess code. That is the way that you're going to be able to qualify to get this free silicone craft mat. I'll send that out to you at the end of the month after everyone has gotten their orders in, and you can use this wonderful mat in all these fun ways and really have a great functional tool in your stamp room. I hope I've helped you out with some tips today, and I look forward to helping you in any way that you need it. And please place an order with me if you can. Get that free silicone craft mat in the month of April, and I hope to stamp with you soon. Until next time, this is Angie with Too Cool Stamping. Stamp with you later. Bye-bye.